Hi, my name's Kevin Retcher, owner of First Meridian Mortgage. It's been one of those days, right? I planned on doing a video today on the home buying process, a step-by-step guide. And of course, a dump truck hit a telephone pole on Route 1 and I've been without power. My batteries for my computers only lasted so long. And so I decided we're going to still do this video as best we can and get it uploaded. All right. So first and foremost, pregame. We're coming up on the Super Bowl and you got to have a pregame, right? So how good is your pregame? You should have a budget, a synopsis over a 2-month period of every expense that you've paid. If you're looking to buy a home, this is your pro tip, right? Understand your budget. If your current rent's $2,000 and in fact you're looking to buy a home that's $4,000 monthly mortgage payment, did you have an extra $2,000 at the end of the month, or are you going to have to make changes to your lifestyle, right? You need to understand how much disposable income at the end of the month that you still have, and whether or not buying or having a higher housing expense, how that's going to impact your life, right? Pre-game, step 2, put your name on the do not call list, right? Go to donotcall.org, get your name and phone number on there so that when your credit is pulled, you're not solicited by 60 people. The bureaus will sell your information that you've had a credit pull, and you're going to get bombarded by people you don't know, right? It's a nuance that nuisance that you just do not need, right? So pregame, budget, do not call. Step 1 of it and 2 of the home buying process is actually interviewing and researching both loan officers and real estate agents, right? You can, when you talk to agents, get recommendations for loan officers. You can talk to loan officers, get recommendations for agents. You can talk to family, friends. However you want to do your research, you want to go ahead and narrow down some of the players that you want on your team, right? You're the coach, right? You're the coach. You're hiring your quarterback, which is your loan officer, and you're hiring your offensive coach, which it might be your real estate agent. So you want to interview them, check their credentials, get references, get referrals, check Google, Yelp, Zillow. Social media is a huge tool to actually be able to do a lot of this research. Check YouTube, absolutely, and narrow it down, right? Once you've narrowed down 1 or 2 loan officers, on the loan officer side, you want to get a scenario put together. Hey, pick an address. I want to put 20% down on this particular house, $500,000 purchase price with a 800 credit score. This is before you've done any credit pulls, anything of that nature. Have those 2 loan officers give you closing cost scenario worksheets. Have them go through those fees with you and just analyze who's got the best price and best fees, right? Here's the pro tip. Do the same thing with the same 2 people a couple days later and see if the numbers stay the same and see if the leader is still the leader, right? Once you've figured out which one is your main guy, go ahead and get pre-approved. When you get pre-approved, have your credit pulled. Provide all documentation that he's requesting and make sure it's fully underwritten and or written through a desktop underwriter, right? Second point, make sure that when your credit's pulled, you ask what your 3 credit scores are for everyone whose credit was pulled. This way you can go to loan officer B and say, I know that my middle score was a 780, right? I had an 800 and a 779. And then he's going to understand that you understand what truly your credit score is. If you have credit pulled from 2 lenders within the same 30-day time frame, it counts as 1 pull. So you want to kind of get that shopping done right then and there before you even get to the point of writing contracts, right? Do your due diligence on your agent, right? Keep in mind you hire the loan officer as your quarterback. your offensive coordinator, your real estate agent, you hire them, right? Ask them the questions, interview them, just as if you were the boss, right? In the end, you're going to be paying their fee one way or another, whether the seller pays it on your behalf or whether you pay it. So do your due diligence, check their reputation, check Google, ask them questions. Do they know the area that you're looking to buy in? Do they, how many transactions do they do? Are they full-time, part-time? How long have they been in the business? Who do they recommend for loan officers and title companies? And you want to go through that process of vetting them, right? Here's the thing. Once you figured out who your offensive coordinator is going to be, you want to ask both your agent and your loan officer who they recommend for title company, who's going to do the settlement, right? Who's the referee? That's your title company, right? And here's the thing. This puts everything together. You want your loan officer and your agent to communicate and know what type of financing you're doing, how quickly things can be done, what if you need any seller concessions, everything pertaining to your lender letter and your approval. Your offensive coordinator, your agent, should actually have a fundamental idea of how to put this contract together in the end, right? Now you've are step 3. Now you can start going house hunting, right? And keep in mind, all of that should mesh with your pregame and your budget. You should be buying a home that was established within the price range of what works with your budget, right? So when you're out there looking for homes, just because your loan officer might have said you're qualified for $600,000, if $500,000 is the number, your quarterback, your offensive coordinator, and everyone should be working within those numbers. So, as you saw, my battery power light went out. So that's just the way the day has been going, right? So back to the quarterback and your offensive coordinator putting together that offer, right? And before you submit that offer, you should get a estimate from your loan officer and double check to see whether or not an appraisal waiver might be a possibility in conjunction with your purchase. That could give you some additional negotiating power if, in fact, the appraised value has already been accepted, right, from the lender. Freddie Fannie's system might give you a waiver. Freddie Fannie's system might give you a waiver, which would allow you to negate an appraisal contingency potentially, or might give you purchasing power or negotiating power over someone that has to do an appraisal like an FHA or a VA. So if you can, in fact, determine that a waiver's possible, that could help you win the contract, right? So assuming that step 4, you've won the contract, what's next, right? So what happens next is a lot of moving parts. Everyone's doing their job. Loan officer, you need to let the loan officer know that you're ratified right away. Let them either lock the loan or register the loan. He's going to get you a loan estimate. Then he can order the appraisal. He's also going to order title work to the referee that we talked about. And he's going to get that ordered. Your agent, meantime, they're going to be working on all those contingencies that you have, home inspections, radons, things of that nature, right? In the meantime, title company is going to order a title search, check on the house, right? One of the jobs that you should be doing is immediately researching insurance, okay? You never know if there's been a lot of claims on the house. And you want to kind of know that right away, just in case you want to get out of a particular contract due to previous claims, things of that nature that you might find out that aren't disclosed in a home inspection, right? All of these things are happening within that first few days of contract ratification. Once that loan estimate's been ordered, the lender is going to get you into underwriting and actually get your loan underwritten by the underwriter. They're going to come back with some conditions, dotting I's and crossing the T's. And there's usually going to be a condition of waiting on title work and also the appraisal. And meanwhile, you're going to be negotiating potentially any of the contingencies you have with the seller on the home inspection and those items, right? If there's any changes to the contract, you're getting a credit for XYZ's wrong with the house, they're going to give you a seller credit toward your closing costs, whatever the case may be. Make sure your loan officer gets those addendums right away. If the realtor is giving you any credits or in any way, make sure your loan officer has those right away. Okay. All these things are going to be needed by underwriting so that you can get what's called a clear to close. Clear to close means underwriting's done with your loan. Title works came in, appraisals come in, you've removed all your contingencies. Underwriter says, we're good to go. And they just push the file off to closing, right? Once you have the clear to close, your agents are going to be happy, right? And that is kind of like the first moment you can kind of breathe, right? At that point, closing is department and the loan officer and the title company are going to start working on all those fees and the closing cost estimate, right? And narrow those down. You might get multiple closing disclosures up until there's a final one at closing you're going to get. So keep in mind the first closing disclosure you get might just open up the portal so everyone can start communicating and going through. If there are inspections on your loan estimate that you didn't do, then they come off later. So anything that you are quoted on a lending side, if you don't do them, they just come off. All right. It's just an accounting in the end. Right. So then you're going to schedule your final walkthrough typically with your real estate agent. Make sure your utilities have been ordered for your closing date. Make sure that you've made your appointment with the title company for your closing date, right? These are things that sometimes you are doing so much you kind of forget. So utilities, closing date scheduled, and then also how you bring your money to the title company, right? So in the end, the referee, or the umpire, which is the title company, is going to tell you how to bring those funds to the closing table, right? So once you understand how to do that, if you are getting wiring instructions via email, make sure that you re-verify those, right? That you didn't randomly pick up the wrong email. Make sure the names match up with the company that you're doing business with. If you want to make an extra phone call, I'm all for that, right? So in the end, now it's closing day, right? So in the end, your loan officer's gotten all the papers for closing there. You're going to do a final walkthrough. I highly suggest your walkthrough should be, the night before, day of. You don't want to have a large gap in between your walkthrough and closing just in case something happened to the house, right? Go to closing. Typically, you're going to go to closing with your agent. Sometimes a loan officer will show up. I personally stay at the office just in case there's any paperwork issues that need to be done. I can handle them at the office versus showing up at the settlement. That's just me personally. Some people absolutely believe that the loan officer should be at the closing table. It's personal preference, right? If there's anything that needs to be fixed, I want to be able to fix it quickly. All right. So that's why I personally don't go to all my closings, but I'm always available at the office during the closing. Okay. So at this point, congratulations, you're a homeowner. So things to think about when it comes to moving, right? Make sure that you change your address accordingly. Make sure that you change your IDs so that if you're supposed to be a primary residence, that you can verify in fact that you are and have moved into a home. Right? Standard rules are that you move in within 59 days so that it's considered owner occupancy. Right? Make sure that when you get your owner's title insurance policy from the title company, which normally comes later, you put that in a nice, safe spot. Keep in mind when your deed and deed of trust are recorded at the courthouse, that is public record. You are going to get solicitations for a lot of things in the mail. If you have any questions, you need to go back to your umpire, your referee, your title company, and ask them any pertinent questions. Your loan officer or your agent. Don't assume the stuff in the mail is pertaining to your transaction. They have a lot of sneaky ways to try to convince you to buy and or sell you mortgage life insurance or title protection, things of that nature. All right. So if you have questions, go back to your teammates. All right. Highly recommend asking questions. Okay. So if you have it, when in doubt, ask the question. So my name is Kevin Retcher. This video is a little bit dark because short on light there and power, but we're able to put this together. I'm going to still put this out. I'm probably going to do a revision to this, but this was off the cuff and off the top of my head on how I would go about and or how I see a purchase transaction and all the inner workings. You want your team to be working together. You want them to communicate. So in the end, that way that they can score a touchdown for you. My name is Kevin Retcher. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Talk to you soon.